Hey guys, we are here playing Texas No Limit Hold'em. I think I'm folding. It used to say total pot somewhere on my client. It's irritating, but yeah, I think after that action 10s are beat. And I don't even think they're close. I'm gonna start at 1 cent, 2 cent, and go very quickly up the stakes. Although my bankroll is only at $400 or something right now, which is all I had online. So, I don't know if he ever actually folds to that. Because it's 4 cents, even though it's almost the top. Okay. I guess if he has a hand, he probably won't be folding to it. I don't know how good ace-queen is here. So I started at 1 cent, 2 cent because it seemed like the obvious place to start. I don't know why I didn't bet. I think I should bet for value, and if he raises, I have a fairly easy fold. I think I have to call. Yeah. I could maybe have folded after he bet the river too. Did I say that yet? That 1 cent, 2 cent is actually really hard to play correctly because everybody's just doing bonkers stuff. Hopefully I don't just get completely trashed. This guy's potting and I have someone behind me. So I think I have a fold. And yeah, making the nuts every hand will certainly help me in my quest to not lose. I believe that what I have is still a straight. Don't think the rules have changed that much since I last played. I would be really surprised if he folded an ace, so if I get a fold it's probably because he had some sort of weaker hand and I should have bet more money on earlier streets, but didn't because I didn't play the hand very well. So today I want to talk about, I don't know, value betting versus bluffing. This is a value bet. I have top pair. Hi. I also just want to get the acquainted with the interface stuff out of the way. I'm going to be opening 100% of hands against him on the button. I don't suspect that he stands much of a chance playing heads up against me. He is some random guy at 1 cent, 2 cent. He seems to be very passive, so I'm just gonna check back and call a bet if he... Wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Expect to get to showdown, I guess. Gonna make a small bet to just make him fold and protect my hand. Didn't work. Now he's gonna bet into me and I'm gonna fold. No. Okay, that's interesting. So I got a little bit of value there. The problem with talking about the basic parts of poker at 1 cent, 2 cent is that 1 cent, 2 cent has almost none of the basic parts of poker. I'm going to open raise to 5 times the big blind. It's probably less than I should be open raising to. The reason to open raise less is largely driven by players behind you re-raising and you losing the open raise that you've made. Nobody at 1 cent, 2 cent is going to be 3-betting well. Not enough, and not the right amount, and just everything very ugly. And so there's very little reason not to bet tons. I'm gonna bet the turn and the river here against this player. He's a random person at 1 cent, 2 cent, so he may just be calling with anything, in which case it looks silly, but As you saw, he ended up folding. The reason I did that was that the turn card, a king, was a very good card to keep barreling on. It's very likely that when the king falls, I'm just going to give up here on the other hand. It's very likely when the king falls that a hand that he called with on the last street is now second pair or something, and he's going to give me a lot of credit for having that king. Not getting many folds on other tables, so I just opened ace-9 suited, I c-bet, got called, and now we're in a turn spot where if I hit a diamond I would continue, if I hit a king or a queen I would probably continue, but as is I think I'm just giving up on the hand. How to play twos here? I'm not sure that I want to raise. This guy's been folding a lot after I raised though. I usually color code the players. Like if you do this, you can give them a colored ring, and I do pink for weaker players, but I don't want to give every single person a pink ring. So we're just going to play without labels today. Basically the formula I want to be stressing, okay, we are open jamming. It's always a good play. The formula I want to be stressing is just raise and continuation bet, and that's basically what I'm going to be trying to explain. So yeah, you're just going to see me make big raises pre-flop with, you know, medium to good hands, and then I'm often going to make one more bet at the pot on the flop, just because you're betting like 50% of the pot, maybe a little bit more. It only has to get a fold something like 40% of the time to just be immediately profitable to win the pot when compared to checking and folding. That board is like, okay, I have an open-ended straight draw on this board, technically. King or an 8 would make me a straight, but the chances that I have a good hand compared to him when the board comes down, Queen Jack 10, is, well, they're low. Queen 10 suited out of position here, I would definitely not call with at higher stakes. Do I want to call with it here? I even don't want to call with it there. You're just not putting yourself in good positions really when you play a hand like that out of position against players you don't have a great idea about. This is the second time this guy has jammed. I have sevens, which is, like, we're probably coin flipping. We're gonna do it because it's for less than $1. There's a bit of dead money in the pot. Hey, I hit a 7. Yeah, Queen 10 offsuit. So he was jamming with a terrible, terrible hand there, but with sevens I was still only a slight favorite. I believe I had 55% chance to win or something. You know, on this board, what's he folding to c-bets? Has he ever seen a c-bet? So this is a board where I could make a standard continuation bet. Just bet 8 cents, make him fold hands. But I'm not sure that I'm getting too much out of it. I don't expect him to fold ace high, so most of the hands that I'm making him fold are hands that I'm actually beating with king high already. And it just seemed like with 2 overs to the board, it might be better just to check back and see another card for free. When he bets into me on the ace, I actually had a hand very, very similar to that one that I commentated on in the last video I made. where it doesn't make much sense for him to bet into me on that ace, because I'm likely to bluff it or something, I don't know. I'm gonna elect not to continuation bet on this board. The reason is that it's hard for me to get called by worse hands. Now that I have 2-pair, sort of a mandatory bet, and a flush draw came in, so I could get called by diamonds and stuff, but on ace-9, 4 rainbow, this board is extremely, extremely dry, and there just aren't going to be many hands that can call you, like, that have a reason to call you. If he has queen 10 there, he's going to struggle to find a reason to put more money in the pot, so I thought it made more sense to check and let him have a chance to bluff at it. On this board out of position, I'm gonna, I think, just bet probably multiple times if I get called. Not on that card, I don't think, though. That's one of the worst cards for me after he calls, because the hands I expect him to call with sort of smash it. At this point, I think I have to bluff. There's a 4-card straight on the board, and he can easily not have it, and I think even for players at 1 cent, 2 cent, it's hard to call with a 4-card straight on the board when they don't have either end of the straight. And it was like very, very easy for him to not have it there. And I only have queen high, so really good chance to take down the pot. It's really tempting to raise it up here with ace-8 offsuit, but I just don't think the hand is good enough, even against like 1 limper. Ace-8 offsuit is really not a good hand. If I had like 9-8 suited, I would be more inclined to raise it up there than with ace-8 offsuit. This is an excellent board for continuation betting. It's ace high, so I'm going to be able to fold a lot of hands that have worse than an ace. And I have a flush draw, so even if I get called, I'm quite likely to improve to a hand that beats what he called me with. I didn't really think beforehand about how long I was going to record for. There'll probably be a reasonable stopping point or something. Maybe I'll bankrupt my account. That would be difficult. Lose 200 buy-ins or so. When this guy min-bets, my initial thought is there may be something fishy going on, but with top pair and a decent kicker, I'm not going to, like, just let only 2 cents go into the pot there. At this point, I'm just happy to see a showdown for super cheap if he's gonna let me. Ooh, I want to value bet, but what do I get called by that's worse? Pocket 7s only? So I think we have to just check here. An interesting play by my opponent. I'm not sure what he thought he was doing there with Queen Jack offsuit, but yeah, that's basically what I was saying about 1 cent, 2 cent being very difficult to play correctly. Because, like, what was that guy doing? I don't know. I am playing like a gigantic fish, by the way, so far in this video. I'm opening, I think, more than 20% of my hands. Usually I'd open maybe 13%. These opens are way lighter than I would recommend at a good game. But when you're playing against people who are not great at poker, it's easy to make money. Notice that there's a lot of variance involved in poker. I'm up almost $3 on this table, which is frankly absurd. winning 1.5 buy-ins at any stake is better than you expect to do in 33 hands. On these tables, I've actually lost money on all of them, so the idea is that in the end it evens out. I guess we're just gonna call here. I don't know, it's a very difficult spot with pocket tens, because pocket tens is not quite strong enough of a hand to like re-raise and get it all in with here, I don't think. But when we call in the small blind, which is out of position to everybody post-flop, we're put in a lot of very difficult situations, where pocket tens was certainly a very good hand before the flop, but now after the flop, it's a very mediocre one, especially 5-handed. I think I can call a 12-cent bet to see what happens on the next tree, basically. He may let me see a very cheap showdown. It's not extremely likely that I'm good. In fact, when he bets 38 cents here, I'm just giving it up. That was pretty weak type by me, but playing middling pocket pairs out of position, it's difficult to find a way not to be weak tight. When I say weak tight, what I mean is tending to call rather than bet, and tending to fold a lot. It's not something that you want to try to be. I'm going to raise it up with King 7 suited here. Continuation bets seem to be getting a bit of respect at this table. We just saw a guy continuation bet and get 4 folds. King 7 suited I like more than Ace 8 offsuit, to be honest. Like, considerably. It's got a higher chance of piecing together a flush draw. And yeah. I'm not gonna continuation bet this into 4 people. I think that would be suicide. And now that I have top pair, it's a very weak top pair. Bad kicker. Certainly if I get re-raised or something, I'm not committed to getting all the money in the middle here. But I do think I need to bet to get money out of like a heart draw, or even just protect my hand. One of them may easily have an ace, and so betting there prevents the scenario where the river is an ace and I lose the pot. It's a spot where I don't think there's a huge amount of value, but I do think there's certainly reason enough to bet. I could still get called by a queen too. Somebody could very easily have checked a queen on the flop because I was the raiser pre-flop and they're expecting me to bet again. And then on the turn their queen is only second pair, but they may still want to stick around for one more street with it. This guy limp calls and then bets into me. This is called a donk bet, when somebody is the caller and then they're out of position post-flop and starts betting into the pre-flop raiser. It's called a donk bet because the people who typically do it are referred to in poker lexicon as donkeys. Donkeys, yes, I think most animals are not as good as humans at poker, but donk bets are not necessarily actually a bad thing to do, and I would often play back at a donk bet, but on this particular board, which is very wet and not really anywhere near my hand, with my hand in particular, which has very little chance to improve meaningfully, I think I can just give it up. We're going to open ace-5 offsuit in the cutoff here. It's a loose open, but we're in the cutoff, so... we've been playing for a little bit, so it might be interesting now. Okay, is this the same guy? Yes, that's the same guy. I think I'm just gonna call here. Because, like, he's not folding anything, and I only have ace high. I don't really want to build up a big pot against jack high or something. I think I have to call. If there's, I'm calling 4 cents to play for a pot of 32 cents. That means I need to win, what, 1 in 7, 8? 1 in 8 times? And here I need to win 1 time out of a good amount, 7 or something. So when I press call, do I expect to win? No. Do I expect to win 1 time out of 7? Yeah. Yeah, I think I probably won 1 time out of 7 there. As is, he just made top pair and got another 10 cents out of me post flop. Good work, man. So yeah, let's talk about this. This is a very basic heads-up display setup. 31 here is the number of hands I've played against him. You can see that as I mouse over stuff, more information gets shown to me. What we have displayed on the screen is just very basic. This first number is probably his VPIP, which means voluntarily put money into the pot. So this guy's put money into the pot 23% of the time. This guy's put it in 13% of the time. 13, 17, 6, 11. I'm at 23. So I am one of the loosest players at this 1 cent, 2 cent table. Being loose would generally imply being a weaker player. But, yeah. I would like to think that in this case it does not. At this table I am at 63% VPIP. I'm going to raise bigger with ace-king suited than I have been on the button. It's not a good flop for ace-king suited. I do have a gut shot and I have the best high card hand. I know nothing about this opponent, but if he's calling reasonable hands in the big blind, which he might be, that's a board that hits him very well. So what I did was checked back, gave him a chance to stab at the pot on the turn, and now after he's checked me again, I'm going to bet twice, I believe. What? I sort of want to call. I need to be good 1 in 4 times. The problem is he did it too fast. I think he could take this line with like 10-9 or something that was a draw and then missed, and he wants to just bluff. But he did it too fast, I think, for him to be processing the bluff. I would usually fold. I'm going to call, though, because it's 26 cents, and I'm interested to see what he has. I think that it's something like Queen 10, but it could be something like 10-9 as well. Wow. Completely off, huh? So that's a hand that I expected him to call with on the turn, maybe, and then check to me. I would bet the river and he would fold. What he did was check called the turn and then made a blocking bet on the river, basically setting the price. So if I raised, he was planning to fold, I'm almost certain. And as is, he figured he was betting less than I was going to bet, so he'd see the showdown cheaper. When I hero called him with ace high, he ended up value betting against me, which is unfortunate. Yeah, so that was probably a premeditated play on the turn. He figured he would call the turn and then block bet the river. And that's why he made the bet quickly on the river. That's an important sort of concept to pick up, I think. These are not the sorts of players that I'm used to playing against, so a lot of their timing tells are going to seem weird to me, and I'm not going to really have a great idea of what they could mean. Pocket sevens in position, it's fine. This is not going to be a like an extremely winning call, I don't expect, especially as this guy is only rocking like a 40 big blind stack. A lot of the reward from pocket pairs is when you make a monster hand and get a ton of money in. I think the best play is to call. Like, I could very easily jam here and... Do I have fold equity? No, I don't think I have much fold equity. I think I'd rather let this guy come along for the ride if he wants. Another problem is that if I jam and he calls, he's probably got me smoked. Whereas this guy I expect to call with a ton of stuff that I'm sort of coin flipping with. No, I don't think I can call there. It's probably losing 15 cents or something to call. That's a spot where you just have to like do the math on what hands he can have, and yeah, I think that the hands that he jams are just beating me. He's likely to have a set, which I'm in very poor shape against, and if he is weaker than that, it's likely to be with a sort of hand that sort of beats mine, like 8-7. I'm in terrible, terrible shape against. I'm going to continuation bet this board. It's a fairly dry king-high board. Insta-called, huh? Yeah, we have 4 hands on this guy. That doesn't tell us anything, but after he calls so quickly, like the only hands I'm really ahead of are queen-jack or queen-10 or jack-10, which I'm now losing to, by the way. All of his flush draws obviously hit. If he had a 9, he still has a 9, and I don't really expect him to fold it. He bets twice the pot on the river, so my guess is that he had a flush draw and a hit. I think I may actually be losing this session here at 1 cent, 2 cent, no limit, which is very impressive, for sure. I'm an excellent poker player. I'm certainly making lots of bad decisions, which is to be expected when you play against a ton of people you know nothing about and haven't played poker for a year. It's nice, though, that a decent amount of the time I've had a feeling that the decisions were bad before I made them, and then I just make them anyway. Way to go, me. Like, I forget where it was, I think it was here maybe, that I made the 26-cent call that I thought was bad. But 26 cents is a pretty good price to pay for a little bit of poker coaching. So, yeah, and I think the analysis that I was able to do after the hand, when I saw what he had, was definitely worth it. Also, the call was not actually losing me 26 cents. I do win sometimes there, I expect. Are any of these guys on 2 of my tables? This is an interesting spot, because I expect an ace to always call, because it has, you know, gut shot straight draw. A 2 gives it a straight. My plan is to bet 3 streets here. Plan is now to fold. Jack 7 suited, I'm actually going to just limp behind with. It's the first time I've done this. Limping behind invites other people into the pot, making it harder to get the money after the flop. And it also doesn't represent as strong a hand, so it's harder to win post-flop. People won't just check to you and let you bet at the pot. However, Jack 7 suited is just the sort of hand which is very marginal, and I'm not sure that I want to raise it, really. But it's a little too good to fold, and I'm playing in position. I'm gonna bet here after 2 checks, definitely. I get value out of diamonds, obviously I don't get value out of a king is beating me, but I'll probably get value out of worse hands than diamonds at these stakes, and it also just makes it easier for me to get to showdown, representing a good hand. Okay, I'm just gonna give it up now. Don't really know what he did that with, but it's probably better than Jack 7. Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I assume some of these players are quite good at poker. Like, just because you're playing 1 cent, 2 cent doesn't mean you don't know anything. But it's sort of difficult for me to work out which ones those are from 40 hands at a table, especially when there are like 32 players that I'm meeting for the first time at once. I'm gonna block that one. Yeah. Blocking images. So the Jessica Alba avatar, I think, is a crucial part of my game plan. A huge amount of poker is making your avatar as pretty as possible so that people want to play with you. Only partially joking. I feel like not that much has happened in this session. Like, you've seen me open raise, and you've seen me talk about where I want to continuation bet, where I don't want a continuation bet. There have been a number of times where I've sort of not said much either way, and usually those times have been places where it's sort of close either way. So there hasn't been much to say. But yeah, other than that, we're just sort of four-tabling 1 cent, 2 cents, so I don't know what I expect to happen. Do I call 10 cents here? No, I don't. This guy's super short, so I don't know. I just am not getting much good out of playing pocket threes. I haven't been dealt aces yet. That's exciting. Maybe we'll see the first time I'm dealt aces during my return to poker on this video before we wind it up. I should get dealt aces once in every 200 or so hands, I think. Is that how it works? This is interesting, because there's not too much reason to raise here. On the other hand, he's so short. I think we're just getting the money in, and if he has a better king, I lose, but I think I can get money in against worse. Oh, my brain is hurting. I don't know that I can really ever fold. Certainly not after that turn. But I think after the ace comes, I may not be getting the money in ahead anymore. Like, maybe now I'm putting money in with, expecting to get 40% of it back. Whereas for me to actively want to put money in the pot, I want to get more than half of it back. Half of the money that goes into the pot total. I want to get more than all of the money I put into the pot back, but for the total money put into the pot, we both put the same amount, so I need to be getting more than 50% of it back. That was weird by him. Maybe I need to be working more river jams into my game, because if he's folding with 20 cents left, I'm going to take a stab at this. I need it to work 50% of the time. Nobody else has shown any interest in the pot at all. Didn't work. I'm unsure that works 50% of the time. It might work 35 to 40% of the time. I think it's close to being a good play. Maybe a little bit too aggressive though. I could have also bet less, but I thought that if I bet less, then I was just going to get called by anything. Good thing I'm playing the top right table, or I feel just completely humiliated. Results in poker are really not something you should be judging yourself on. It's more humiliating the plays that I've voluntarily made than that I'm behind on 3 out of 4 tables. I feel like we have not seen many showdowns at 1 cent, 2 cent. Some good play going on. Well, this is interesting. I think this was the first time I've gotten a chance to 3-bet bluff. I'm going to give it a pass because ace-5 offsuit is just not a good hand. But this is probably something we'll talk about more at the replays of the last hand, because this one's not finished yet. Something we'll talk about more at more aggressive, higher stakes. But 3-bet bluffing is a huge part of the game. And so when this guy raises and I have an ace in my hand, which lowers the chance that he has aces or ace-king, there's a little bit of incentive to re-raise him. That's what a 3-bet is. The big blind is bet 1, his bet is bet 2, and my bet would be bet 3 pre-flop. And just like expect him to fold or maybe call out of position and then play very passively and weakly post-flop. Get a lot of folds out of him post-flop that way. I want to go for 40 minutes. That's what the first video was, and we'll just do a little bit of consistency. Let's take a look at Hold'em Manager's reports for this session. Okay, that's not this session. That's that's the last session I played, 1st of March. So it has been over a year. Here we go. So I'm up 86 cents. We can see a little graph here. This tab isn't telling me much really. When we look at reports. Just say this year and it will give us only this session. That's cool. So I've made 23.6 big blinds per 100 hands. That's an extremely good win rate. Maybe you could do better than that at 1 cent, 2 cent, but it's not super easy. Another thing though is that over 178 hands, your win rate is meaningless, almost. So basically what I want to say from those 2 data points is over the number of hands that you've seen me play, I haven't been doing that well. I've also randomly actually done way better than I probably would do on average because of this table only. And like ultimately how much money I'm up or down is close to meaningless if we're going to play 200 hands. That's the point to make about that little stat. This is cool. I'm playing 30-27. If there were 6 players at each table, that would be pretty loose. With 9 players at each table, that's sort of insanity. What other reports do we have? We can look at a graph of our results. That doesn't look very impressive so far. It's loading the results graph. It doesn't seem like 178 hands would take that long to load. It might be loading my hands from last year. Wow, this is interesting. We got a raise, a call, and a squeeze play going on. I don't think this guy's thinking like I can squeeze, and squeeze plays are good, so I'll do it with a weaker hand. I suspect what's happened is this guy had a good hand, this guy had a good hand, this guy had a better hand. But it's cool to see the action going on. Was that the first time I've been dealt kings? I don't know. I don't care very much. We've been dealt kings before. Yeah, I was showing all of my hands. Okay. This is like January of last year or something. 300,000 hands. Maybe it's all of last year. I don't know. It's all dates. I don't know what hands I actually have imported on this computer. But that was something. So this graph shows us the green line is our winnings. The blue line is our winnings at showdown. You see this is mostly flat and then jumps up and down sometimes because we don't get to showdown that often. Actually, what just happened? I accidentally zoomed in. What? I'm sorry, you guys. New technology. This year... I want to show all. Okay. I have no idea what was going on there. This red line, on the other hand, is our winnings from pots which are not shown down. So every time we fold our big blind, that goes down, for example. And every time we like raise with ace king and everybody folds, it will go up. So it just went up 5 cents. A lot of the mass tabling regulars tend to have negative red lines with positive blue lines. Over the sample I've had, the lines are basically meaningless. But like if you extrapolated this graph over 20,000 hands, it would actually quite likely look something like this for me. I'm just actually going to give up on this board with pocket twos. I was sort of talking and just raised them pre-flop, which maybe wasn't very good, but that board smashes so much stuff I expect him to limp call with. Maybe I beat ace high. I beat king high. Alright, I would expect him to bluff with that hand at some point. But that's pretty cool. Got to show down our twos. Cool, this graph auto updates. Yeah, I used to use Hold'em Manager 1 back when I was playing. Hold'em Manager 2 is a new thing. So, I guess I'm going to wind this up. I'm sad. I don't really want to, because I'm having fun and... yeah. But I will. Hope you guys enjoyed my little foray at 1 cent, 2 cent. I believe that 2 cent, 5 cent is next. So we're going to start seeing some massive pots. Maybe up to $10 in the middle at once. It's huge. That's posted big blinds twice that much. But yes. So this has been part 1. Just been talking about raising pre-flop and continuation betting, and talking a little bit about betting for value when you can and when you cannot, and calling when you can and when you cannot, and when you should not, but you can, but then you really shouldn't have. I don't recommend that one. Yep, so I'll be playing a lot. Expect part 3 to be up, possibly even today. I'll finish playing this hand with ace-10 offsuit and then sign off. It may not take very long, especially if he jams on me. Alright, see you guys.